Welcome to The Favorites, presented by DraftKings. The crown is yours. We are an Action Network podcast. I'm Brandon Kravitz, back at it on this fine Tuesday morning. Kendra Middleton with me, as she always is, and a fill-in for our brand new show daddy, Stuckey. My buckets compadre, Matt Moore, is joining us. What a treat. On today's episode, we've got our Plant the Flag game for Week 16, official Thursday Night Football preview. We got a good one, Rams, Seahawks, and of course, the main event, Evan's Tuesday Primer. Congrats again to Stuckey and his family. We will welcome him back with open arms as soon as he is done changing those stinky, dirty diapers. Matt Moore, welcome to the program. Thanks for joining us. How'd they convince you to do this?
They asked me, "Do you want to do this?" And I said, "Of course, I want to do this. I'm so excited to be on with Kendra. I love doing everything with you, Brandon. I love this show. It's so terrific. So excited for Stuckey. It's really gonna be fun to watch him as a rookie, as a rookie here because like I'm a veteran dad. Like I've been around the block. I know like how to fool the cornerbacks. I know how to play zone. It's gonna be really fun watching him get completely overwhelmed, but." Very excited to be on with you guys and talk some football this week.
Wait, I have a question.
He's at that level. I'm kind of like in my prime, but yeah, Stuckey has many lessons to learn about juggling, not only juggling fatherhood, but trying to watch sports and bet on sports. It makes it all a lot more complicated. I'm very curious to see how that lands for Stuckey, and we'll see as it unfolds.
My question is, do we think he named the kid Stuckey 2, or because that's his username, he had to go with Stuckey 3?
That's a good question. I think it's probably, I would say that it's likely Stuckey 3. I would have to say Stuckey 3 from this perspective. Although I would say that he might be naming him after Lamar Jackson. Would that be a surprising name for him? Just
if we all had a Jackson, could you
No.
imagine?
He should name him Fade the Chiefs because that's what he does every damn week. And that, like, give the child what you love. Give the child what you love more than anything.
Mr. Moore, he did fade the Chiefs again and again and again until we went head to head last week, right before little Stuckey 3 was born. We went head to head. I took the Chargers plus the 5.5. He was on Kansas City. He said, now's the time to bet him. And I still have not been able to give him for this because he went and had a kid. You know,
he did
pretty
it to
convenient,
avoid you.
Stuckey. Pretty convenient. Unreal.
Stuckey 3, but you don't know that I have a dog Jackson. Kravitz has a dog Jackson. So if Stuckey named Stuckey 3 Jackson, that would really be the trifecta.
Great. Matt, do you happen to have a dog named Jackson? Because that would really complete the trifecta here.
As a matter of fact, no, I don't. I do not have a dog named Jackson. I wish I had a dog named Jackson though. Although if it's a dog named Jackson, I'm trying to think about like what the comparison would be. Does he like almost reach the toy when you throw it and then completely slam his head into the ground and then fall over? Is that what happens? Is that he just like trips on himself and fails?
That's pretty on brand.
He's named after Duval County, so I can't really get into what he's up to. That might get in trouble.
You know what the crazy part is too? I don't want to make this a whole podcast about our dog's name, but my dog is named after Jacksonville as well. It was the first trip that my wife and I took together was to the city of Jacksonville. And so when we got a dog, we named him Jackson after Jacksonville. So not only do we have two dogs named Jackson, they're both
That's so
named
cool.
after.
Can you guys, like, I know that we're running long, but can you guys talk having dogs that do meth in the house? Is that just like...
Yeah, I didn't mention that my mini Aussie wears jorts also around the house.
Right.
So,
the fact that they're both mini Aussies too is nuts.
That's nuts. That's wild.
Anyways,
you clone the
what
same
are the
dog.
odds? It's
they're
almost
the
like
same color too. They're both like American Shepherds. Nuts.
It's almost like they did this on purpose at Action for some reason. So the Dolphins join the Chiefs as a pair of newly minted eliminated teams in the AFC. The Steelers win 28-15 in a pretty dull Monday Night Football game. We don't have to spend much time on this, Kendra, because I find both of these teams pretty boring at this point. But anything of interest to you from last night?
Yeah, I have two takeaways. One, Tua suck. Worst quarterback contract in the NFL right now, behind he who shall not be named. Two, the Steelers. I was impressed by them. If they play the way that they did last night and Aaron Rodgers can elevate the team, take the check down, they can keep the run game as strong as it was last night, and they get TJ Watt back, this could be a team that spoils somebody in a wild card round. I was impressed by the Steelers last night. The underdog mentality that they've been able to kind of just take advantage of has done wonders for them. And I got to stop fading Mike Tomlin to eventually have a less than 500 season because it's kicking my ass.
I saw you tweet about this.
How does he do this every year? How?
Every year. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter who his quarterback is. Doesn't matter how good the defense is.
Pittsburgh tolerates just above middling. Like if he were somewhere like a New England, like a New York, like a Dallas, and he was just above middling for this long, you cannot tell me that he would be employed. I love that he's a player's coach. I love him as a person. I love him as a coach. I love his interviews. I think he's an incredible coach, but he has just ridden the line above middling for far too long for some major markets. I think that that's how he continues to do it every single year. And the fact that playing in the cold and having a raw team of guys that you hype up, I think that helps.
I need to bring Evan in for a moment because I saw this flash across the screen last night. Kendra, I saw you tweet a tweet about this as well. I did not know this, and maybe it was in the primer and I didn't scroll all the way down to the bottom, so this could be on me. But I did not know until last night that Mike Tomlin was undefeated on Monday Night Football and that the Steelers as an organization are 23-0 in their last 23 home games on Monday Night Football. Evan, was this information that we had? Why was I learning about this as I'm watching the broadcast?
I do believe it was the first note in the Steelers-Dolphins game.
Great.
I will say that. I'll also say this, and I am just such a technical dude because of what I do for a living, but they did lose on a Monday at home to the Commanders, but that was in a COVID. They moved the game to a Monday, so they have lost, but on Monday Night Football, in quotes, with ESPN on the logo, he's won that many games straight. All right, I'll leave now.
I love how Evan was like, no, it's hard to figure out. You couldn't have found it unless you read the thing I sent you.
You know, when it's at the top, it sort of sneaks in there. I like the good stuff right in the middle, Evan.
Just scroll right.
On Kravitz today, I'm here for it.
That's great.
Oh, I'm sure that we're not done doing that. Don't you worry. Let's get to our main dish for today. The Packers lose Micah Parsons for the year with a torn ACL. We've seen their Super Bowl odds shift because of it. They're now 15-1 to win the whole thing. In line with the Patriots, slightly behind the Texans. Texans, by the way, I did log that bet on action at 12-1 to win the Super Bowl. Love what I'm seeing from them. Their offense now marrying up with how good that defense is. That's the kind of team that wins the Super Bowl, especially with how wide open things are this year. Are the Packers still bettable without their best pass rusher, Kendra? Where are you at on Green Bay?
I got to look up their remaining schedule. But no, as far as all right, so their remaining schedules at the Bears, home against the Ravens, and then at the Vikings. Maybe you could get me to the window on the Bears just because of the divisional aspect and the fact that I think that the Bears are probably due to struggle a little bit here, potentially. But as far as long-term value, I don't believe in Jordan Love. And let's be honest, the quarterback is what puts asses in seats. It's what elevates your team and it's what puts your team over the edge. But championships are won by defenses. And without a guy like that to, create pressure and, wreak some havoc in the postseason, I don't know. I can't get behind this team. I feel bad for Stuckey and his future. That's a massive blow because that was such a good look from what he got it in May. But I can't get behind this team. They're inconsistent. They lose to teams that they shouldn't. Once, like I said, I don't believe in Jordan Love and losing a guy like that. And Tucker Kraft being on IR, that was just like the heart and soul of your offense. I think that they've just unfortunately taken too many blows to be able to recover as far as having any long-term aspirations.
Dealing with injuries on the offensive line as well. Looks like Christian Watson might try and give it a go this week. They are road favorites against the Chicago Bears. I don't know about all that. Matt, where do you land on Green Bay with the shakeups to the roster?
I mean, look, the overall kind of look here is still pretty strong for Green Bay. And for sure, Parsons is an incredible player and losing him hurts. Look, how many times do we see teams though lose a guy that's got big name star value who's not a quarterback, and that team goes on to make a run because it's like, well, they're so banged up. Who's not? Look at this point in the season. Like everybody's dealing with all these injuries. Look at the Lions; their pets' heads are falling off. Like there's got to be a point where there's value on a team because of this perception. This was the team that everyone loved in preseason. This was the team that came out and started the season, and everyone was like, "Whoa!" And then it was like, "Is Green Bay actually good?" And then they've just kind of kept chugging, and they're in this kind of position. I still think that there's probably a little bit of value here to get back in on them, just because, like, look, it is the. I mean, look, they're behind the eight ball here on pass rush EPA defensively. That's a problem. That's a problem. You're going to face some pretty good quarterbacks in the playoffs. But if you're able to position yourself into the right seat and you get the right bracket, I still think that there's probably a reason why every model, every metric, every number, every power rating has continued to trust Green Bay. So I think there's probably a little bit of value there.
Parsons has 64 pressures on the season, 11 more than any other player in the NFL, and the Packers still rank 16th in sack percentage. And that number is only going to get worse with him not on the field. If you can't get after the quarterback, and that's just sack percentage. We're just talking about simply creating pressure. You don't have to double anybody on the defense anymore. We're going to see those numbers plummet. I worry about the Packers in a loaded NFC. And I just think that the NFC is just too tight to lose a player like that when they really weren't great at getting after the quarterback, even with Parsons.
Okay, the Rams, no question, right? The Rams are the Thunder of the NFL right now, where it's like everyone's just looking up at him, being like, "Damn, what's it look like from up there?" Whom else are you like genuinely like, "Oh man, the Packers are screwed here"?
See, this is what I was just going to bring to you. The only NFC teams in a playoff picture I think that the Packers could beat right now, Carolina and Dallas. That's literally it. Detroit would beat them. San Francisco would beat them. Seattle would beat them. Tampa Bay would beat them. Philly would beat them. Chicago, question mark. And then the Rams would beat the piss out of them. So unless they were to draw, the Panthers or Dallas, I don't see them being able to beat any of these other NFC options.
What's your confidence level, Kravitz, on if it's Packers at Eagles? What's your confidence level if that winds up being a matchup?
I mean, we already saw these two match up this year, and that was with a healthy Micah Parsons, and the Eagles got the best of them. It looks like Philly's back on track. To me, it becomes a coin flip, whereas when Parsons was healthy, that's where I would lean the way of Green Bay. So it's not like it knocks them out of contention. It just knocks when I'm going to go back to the original question of, are they still bettable? I don't think they have a leg up on the teams that are in that mix at the top of the NFC. I don't see
2 division games left.
Like, to me, they're just as good now as.
What do we say on buckets about buying low, Kravitz?
Yeah, but sometimes you just got to know when to get off the train.
Sure, I feel like it's got to be this week against the Bears, and then that's probably it, right?
Let's see how this goes against Chicago this week. Who is, talk about a potential sell high team, and they've been like that for a lot of the season. The Packers already beat the Chicago Bears. If the Bears put it on them, and the Packers really struggle, then perhaps we've all avoided the buy low on Green Bay properly. Or maybe you see something. I would just wait to see what it looks like. Christmas Day for the NFL just got a whole lot less interesting. Jaden Daniels has been shut down by the Commanders, so we'll get Prescott versus Mariota. The Cowboys, by the way, eliminated from the playoffs. The Commanders eliminated from playoff contention. I'm sorry, the Cowboys still have a 1% chance, according to the analytics, to make the playoffs, so highly unlikely. Lions Vikings, which is about halfway decent, but the Vikings are out. Bo Nix versus Gardner Minshew to wrap up the day, and the Chiefs are done. Kendra, how should folks be handling their Christmas Day now that the NFL looks like this?
I feel like obviously you're going to probably watch the NBA unless you're a sicko like us. Well, like me, I'm going to probably have the dual screen, but NFL always takes the cake in my household, but maybe go touch some grass, hang out with your family. It's the perfect slate to kind of maybe log off for the day.
Matt, does our other favorite sport get a little leg up now?
It's gonna be really embarrassing when the NFL once again murders the NBA in ratings.
Well, that's
even
gonna
though
happen.
with
So
Gardner Minshew,
Hey,
etc.
that's my king.
It's gonna be really embarrassing when that happens. But I mean, look, I would say this that I just don't know. There are bad football games, but bad football games are decided by style, not based off of like actual team quality. You can have a really competitive, fun game between two pretty crappy franchises. And these teams are obviously in rough shape, but I mean, they'll still be entertaining. The key is to have it on while you're doing something else. Like if you're making Christmas dinner, like if you're the cook in the house like I am, it's great having these games on like a side screen while you're doing that, just to be able to like look over and be like, ah, Gardner Minshew completed one. Good for him. That's what I said. I said good for him. That is the way to approach Christmas. Otherwise, you can watch Victor Wembanyama be not human. That's also an option for you.
yes,
We'd
very
be
much so.
fiending for this in July, just so you guys know. Think about this. In the month of July, we would be like, I would take all three of those games right now just to feel something. Also, embarrassing story. When my mom got divorced, she was in love with Gardner Minshew. So I slid in Gardner Minshew's DMs on my mom's behalf, and he left me on red.
Ah. All right, that
Yeah.
means we have to fade.
I tried
That
to-
means we're
I
on the
tried-
Titans.
I'm gonna get you a T-shirt that says I tried to hook my mom up with Gardner Minshew. And
Look
all I
at
got was a
Diego
t-shirt.
Pavia and freaking Theo Vaughn and his mom. So it could have
Man.
been. You could have been Mr. Middleton. But here we are.
Wow. Any bigger loser than Diego Pavia this week?
Ugh.
What a bum.
The worst. Anyways.
But our king, Philip Rivers, set to start again for the Colts. That's going to be on the Monday Night Football tilt. He led the Colts to an impressive cover. They were a 14-point dog against Seattle. They did not win, but he did his part. You know, the stats weren't there, but he's 44 years old. The man's a grandpa.
Built like a refrigerator.
Philip Rivers did not look like he was in game shape. That's going to be my coldest take of the day. Kendra, are we looking the way of Indianapolis
I
on
think
Monday night?
the same way we kind of looked at the Shador thing a couple weeks ago. Obviously, they're not similar nor comparable situations, but came out first game. Everyone thought that he was going to look like crap, faded the hell out of him, performed to a level that was a bit higher than expectation, especially against a Seahawks defense. I think we fade the shit out of him this week.
I'm with you. The line has been bet up from 5.5 to 6, so some urgency setting in if you want to catch this before that dreaded 6.5 appears on the San Francisco 49ers, or they would be a phenomenal teaser leg at this point as well. The Niners are on the road, but San Francisco has been, I think, criminally underrated for the last month of the season. Everybody's talking, even to the conversation that we just had. We did not mention San Francisco. If you look at where they line up power rating wise, they are among the best teams in the NFL. The defense.
I said that I would take San Francisco over the Packers.
The defense is suspect, but the offense can put up points. And now we have some clarity on this whole Mac Jones versus Brock Purdy thing. Clearly, Purdy better for the team than your boy Mac Jones. But I'm with you. It is time to fade Philip Rivers.
Father Philip, yeah.
You're gonna have folks that want to back him. You know, they've got the home crowd behind him. He covered for a lot of folks last week, or even if you weren't on it, you saw that the Colts had some sense of life. The defense played great. But at what point are we? The Colts took one snap under center last week. The guy can't move. The easiest bet I've ever cashed in my life was on Sunday. It was Philip Rivers under half a rushing yard. He was immobile. And
I have PTSD from him not throwing a pick six, okay? I thought that I cooked there. But instead, I just boiled chicken and rice.
Might happen this week. Now that you have a defensive coordinator that we respect and Robert Saleh with a full week of game film on what has to be the most predictable offense in the NFL now, this feels like it's 49ers or pass. Are you with us here on the Fade Rivers bandwagon, Matt.
I just look, Niners 5.5 on the road. Like 5.5 on the road versus a team that the rest of like I understand how good Daniel Jones was, but this team is top 10 DVOA offense defense. Like, here's a question: the Niner, you guys know better than I do. Is the Niners defense so much healthier and better now as to be substantially better than their ratings to where they're going to be able to take advantage of the octogenarian Octodad? Like, is that something that you can actually like bank on them being able? I understand it's like this is the extremely movable object versus the completely like resistible force, but by the metric. And here's the other thing I always get to with the Niners is every time that everyone starts to get excited about them is right where they start to smack their head into the wall. And so I'm just a little bit concerned that this is a little bit of a not the best spot to back them as a road favorite. I get it, but like who's gonna want to bet the Colts in this spot?
Well, I'm glad that you asked. Let's see what the percentages say over on Action. Not many people. I actually thought it would be more overwhelming. No, the game's on Monday, so this could shift by a lot. But 44% of the bets, only 32% of the money is on the Indianapolis Colts.
Like since week 10, Niners are still 18th in dropback EPA defensively. I just don't know that we have a lot of, again, it's like, yeah, but it's Phillip Rivers. I hear you. I'm not saying that the Colts are going to win this game, but 5.5 on the road, especially if this gets what's the number at which you want to get the Colts, Kendra? Like, at what number are you like, oh, that's a lot? Phillip Rivers is alive.
I don't know because we went through this exercise last week and we were sitting here and we were like, at what number do we think is worth it? And we all kind of agreed maybe 2 touchdowns, and look at us now. That's kind of where I'm at. And I pulled up the injury reports for both teams. This is yucky. This is not fun. I don't like this. I don't like this experiment.
Tell you.
Well, who's looking worse right now?
Yeah, gotta be.
San Francisco has been battered all season.
Take the injuries out of it. If you are on a 5th string quarterback, I would say a 44-year-old grandpa, 5th string quarterback that you signed off of the couch last week, you're in a worse spot. I'm sorry. Yeah, your 3rd or 4th string guy broke his orbital bone with no, it's the Colts. It's not even close. I'm done having sympathy for the 49ers. It's the same song and dance year in and year out. I can't keep having sympathy for you guys. I get that injuries happen. I get that they're never intentional, whatever, but I can't, no sympathy.
Last 5 weeks, the Niners are 25th in rush defensive EPA. Last 5 weeks, when they're supposed to like have turned around.
No, their defense has not. The defense defense isn't good. This is
Fred Warner's on IR, Michael Williams on IR, Nick Bosa on IR, Jacob Robinson, like everybody on their defense is basically on IR.
My point about the defense, though, is that it will make a bad defense look good going up against a quarterback that is a sitting duck in the pocket. If they can figure out the most obvious run game situations and just load up the box, stop Jonathan Taylor, Phillip Rivers is not going to beat this team. Also, you mentioned, are we trusting the road favorites? I know you love these trends, Matt. How about the 49ers? A clean 5-0 this season as an away favorite. Best record in the NFL against the spread when they are favored on the road.
What's his record against quarterbacks that were born in the 1700s?
I can't. I'm going to need more time on that.
Evan, get on it. Get on it, Evan. So, like, look,
put that in the middle of the blurb, though, not at the top where everyone's gonna think to look. Put it right.
So, look, Seahawks, they lose, but like they were in that game the whole way. Okay, on the road, and then I guess my look would be the total here, right? Because what you're saying is, if the Niners defense we know is banged up and isn't good enough, and we know that the strength of the Niners is the offense, even as good as the Colts have been, if the Colts defense is exhausted because their offense can't get off the field, and Kravis, you kind of want to like fade them to the point of like they're going to kill him. They're going to kill this team. Isn't it possible that this is like 35-13 and you're able to get over on the over, which is only 46.5 right now.
Very much so. I think the over is very much in play. The only issue is that if you are layering in any confidence for Indianapolis, their defense looked damn good last week
Yeah.
against a Seattle team that can move the ball. So that's concerning, but they tend to run better at home, and the San Francisco run defense isn't good. I just think that no matter how bad you are in terms of these advanced stats that we look at every week, when your offense lacks the availability of any creative layer, it makes life so much easier, even
I mean,
on bad defenses.
I think that's the decision tree, right? Is if you think the Niners are going to score on them, if you're like, no, they're going to be exhausted, the Niners are going to have too many weapons and they're going to score. Okay, then you want the over. And if you're like, I don't know, that Colts defense is really good. Okay, then it's a tight game again, and Colts are going to cover this because they're at home as a 5.5 point dog. Like, wait for the 6. Like, I'm not saying bet the 5.5 because like wait for the 6. Because again, I just asked like, how did it'd be really interesting to see what the groups do with this week, right?
Yep.
Like, are the groups going to come in and be like and look at this and go, no, I'm fading Philip Rivers again, and because where this number has settled at 5.5, it's in an unbettable zone, and I'm just kind of curious to see if this hangs here or if it goes the other way. But like, I would say, like I like Colts, I like the over.
I think right now the best thing to do with it is to tease the 49ers down because I do not think Philip Rivers is beating this team. We're about to talk Thursday Night Football, but first, a word from our very own Kendra Middleton.
The Favorites podcast has teamed up with DraftKings Sportsbook, where new customers can bet $5 and get $200 back in bonus bets if your bet wins. Love the thrill of live betting? DraftKings has got you covered. Bet live on star player props and in-progress games right as they happen. To get started, use promo code FAVORITES when signing up at DraftKings. Again, use code FAVORITES when signing up and bet $5 to get $200 back in bonus bets if your bet wins. The crown is yours.
All right, Kendra, we'll get back to it in a moment. We've got Thursday Night Football to preview. Rams Seahawks still plant the flag game to get to as well. But what's on your mind today?
I had so many directions I could go, but since I didn't do sports last week and we talked about your loved ones eating your dead body, I decided to keep it probably, PG this week. So, would you rather play 4 NFL games at 44 against top 10 defenses, or have to go the distance or until you're knocked out in a boxing match with a featherweight champion?
Oh my God. No, definitely rather play the football game at 44. At least I have offensive linemen that are protecting me in these scenarios. If you're in the boxing ring, it's you and the other dude. And maybe you get a nice official, but no.
But then it's over. Like, you only have to do it one time.
Yeah, I'm taking the boxing match. You have to keep going back out there. You have to and at 44, I will tell you, it gets harder to get up every single time. Every single time. You get knocked down once, you can at least crawl your way out of the ring. It's definitely the featherweight.
I was saying the other day, like my left knee hurts. And I have no idea I feel like I have a torn ACL and I don't even know what happened. I didn't even do anything.
Welcome. This is the rest of your life.
And I turned 40 in August, so I assume that the two are correlated.
Mm-hmm. Just like you wake up. The best thing about being old is that you suffer injuries, like you talk about, like getting hit by an NFL pass rusher. I have no idea how Philip Rivers is doing this. I have no idea how LeBron's doing this, because after 40, you start having be like, I have an injury. What happened? I slept. That's it. I slept. Yep. And now body parts hurt.
And now I have no sciatica.
Idea. Yeah. No idea.
I'm in my 20s and I feel like I'm in pain.
Yeah.
Was there a right answer to this, in your opinion, Kendra?
I don't think that there's a right answer, but I do lean the boxing just because it's like one and done. It's over. I don't have to do all this prep work. Just take me out.
Yeah. I don't really want to be taken out, but I guess to each his own.
Although I guess if you're Philip Rivers, your insurance clock resets taking a snap. So did you guys hear about this?
Yeah, now he gets insurance for all.
Yeah, so allegedly the reason he was open to coming back was because after 5 years, your health insurance with the NFL runs out, and when you have 10 kids, you need your health insurance. So he was willing to do it to have the clock reset on his health insurance.
This I can't believe they don't provide. Hey, we're gonna put you through this. You're gonna be in a car wreck 17 times a year for 10 years. But after 5 years, you better figure out your own way to be able to pay for your insurance. That's crazy. That is crazy talk. But good for him for working the system. I have a friend who, you have that conversation with your friends. What would you do if you won the lottery? I swear to God, this man is so cheap. He's so cheap that he said, well, I'm really excited because through work, I get a free lawyer. And so he would help me set up everything. I was like, you won the lottery. He's like, yeah, but a free lawyer to help me set up everything. I was like, you're not working anymore. You won the lottery. He's like, well, I would work for the free lawyer. Absolutely insane.
Well, it's like Odell. He said that he was like struggling to make $100 million work, and he like was like broke now because he couldn't manage $100 million. And everyone was like, "Oh, boo hoo, you loser."
Yeah, he's like, well, but the agent takes 20%. Okay, save your money.
You don't need to buy 37 houses and 25 cars. It's crazy, right?
No.
Thursday night football, Rams at Seahawks, Seattle -1.5. The total sitting at 44.5. The Seahawks have flipped the favorites after being 1-point dogs at the open. The winner takes control of the NFC West. Seahawks probably would have won the last game that these two teams met if Sam Darnold didn't have a complete and utter meltdown. He was seeing ghosts again. And while they are coming off that win against Indianapolis, as we mentioned, not all that impressive, they failed to get to the end zone and barely escaped the old man strength of Phillip Rivers. Seattle kicked 6 field goals to barely beat the Colts. I find myself leaning Seattle, though. Talk buy low, even though they won the game. How does anybody have confidence in the Seattle Seahawks? Yet I still look at my janky power ratings, and I've got these two teams side by side. I think the home team that already lost in the divisional matchup prior, that actually outplayed the Rams, I think Seattle's the right side here. Kendra?
Actually, I think that you have just sold me. I was leaning Seattle as well, but I'm going to go ahead and get in on Seattle right now before the inevitable happens. That being that Devontae Adams is ruled out. I know that they said that Puka Nacua had cramps. I don't know if I believe that. He did not look good standing up there. It looked like a back something, unless he was having like back spasms. So I think that Devontae Adams probably going to be ruled out. Do I think that this number is going to change a ton if that's the case? No, maybe a point, something like that. But when Puka Nacua clearly not 100%, Devontae Adams clearly not 100%, Jordan Whittington questionable as well, that leaves you with a not healthy Puka Nacua and Tutu Atwell, and then nobody's. So I get that Matthew Stafford is having an MVP season, elite, playing out of his mind, old man style. However, I don't know if you can elevate your receivers that much to be able to beat the Seattle defense right now. And I think Seattle's probably going to be on a tear. Like, did they win the game against the Colts? Yes. Was it absolutely beyond embarrassing that it took what it did from them to be able to win that game? Yeah. So I think that they're probably going to be on a little bit of a tear. Still think that the Rams are the better team, just not as healthy right now.
Matt, are you with us on this Seattle train?
McVay's been really good on short rest is kind of the problem here is McVay. Here's what's funny is it completely changes whether he's a favorite or a dog here. And the number predictably when it's like less than a field goal or less is pretty marginal. But McVay, when he's on short rest, has done pretty freaking well in these kind of spots about being able to win and cover 31-25 straight up, 30-25-1, 55% ATS as a road team on short rest. He's good in these kind of spots on the road. I do kind of think this is the spot where the Rams win, and then in the playoffs, I would not be surprised if this comes back the other way. I do think also like Darnold is the kind of quarterback that I think good coaches are able to take advantage of, that they're able to kind of limit what he's capable of doing, and that causes a lot of problems here. After week 10, this is the counter of it. After week 10, home teams on short rest versus an opponent on short rest on Thursday night football have been 56% straight up, but that's actually not that great for being at home. And then the road team is actually 52% in those spots. So this is like road team late division matchup on Thursday night football has been not terrible for teams in the Rams spot. I kind of wonder if this is a good opportunity to get in on the Rams.
I do think the Rams are the better team. And I kind of look at this the other way. I think Seattle's the spot here. If these two teams were to meet in the playoffs, I'd be right back on the Rams and I'd throw some numbers out the window. I do have the Rams as just under a point better than Seattle, but you layer in the home field advantage and the fact that this is a weather game too. The temperature at 48, which isn't unbearable, but winds up to 11 miles per hour, 86% chance of rain at kickoff. And you would think that the team that is used to playing outdoors would be it'd be slightly more advantageous to them. I don't know if I trust Sam Darnold with a wet football. That would be my one issue, but um,
I want to know.
theoretically, it should be Seattle.
I want to know from Evan not only what the record is this season and the last 5 years on when that, because like there has been that trend of when it flips from dog to favorite, the favorite's been terrible in those numbers over the last like 5 seasons, but that may have
Yep.
reversed itself this season. And I'd love to know what that happens when that's a division game and when you have those kind of dynamics in play. I'm not surprised that Seattle took money, right? Like Seattle's been, I think, a little bit underrated, and the Rams are this is an interesting question of like, are Rams at peak value? I don't know
Yeah.
if that's true or not.
And I think we've seen Evan, we'll bring you on at the end for the primer segment. Definitely have that one in your back pocket. We've seen some reverse line movement in that regard, which I know sports bettors out there absolutely eat up. The bets and money coming in on the Rams, 61% of the tickets on the Rams, 63% of the money, yet the line is moving in the other direction. So keep that in mind. We're going to talk about our Plant the Flag games coming up shortly. But first, a switch to the amateur side of football. Let's sling over to college football. Before we plant our flags, we're going to turn our attention to the college football playoff, which starts on Friday between number 9 Alabama and number 8 Oklahoma. This game at 8 p.m. Eastern on ABC and ESPN. We've got Mike Calabrese. We're bringing in the big guns joining us to talk about this game. But first, we want to let our listeners know what we think is an awesome offer from Sling TV. Do you need instant access to live TV because your squad is in the college football playoff? That's not Kendra. That's not me, but it might apply to you. With Sling TV, you can take control with flexible package options of a 1, 3, and 7-day passes for access to 30 plus live channels, which includes ESPN and TNT. So that covers you for all 11 epic college football playoff games. Public service announcement for those out there. Kendra used to be an Auburn Tiger, wore damn Eagle, and all that jazz. Not sure if she's going to be able to stay objective here, but we can certainly try. Mike, give us one thing that people need to know about each team that will be a key for this game.
All right, let's start with Jam Miller and his availability because this Alabama offense, I'm not breaking any news here, it's pretty much broken without him because he's someone who can pop it in the run game. He's always a threat on swing passes. He can stretch the defense, across the field. And when the defense has to focus in on him, it allows Grubb and DeBoer to really get deeper in their bag in terms of their play calling and their creativity. On the Oklahoma side of things, Mateer has just not been good since this hand injury. I know that the kid's gutty, goes through surgery, he comes back, they win a lot of games, but it's because of their defense. It is not because of him. And when you look at him passing the ball down the field, if they're in a game script and game flow where they need to come back and they need to score points to erase a deficit, he's going to have to push the ball downfield, and he's struggled. When he throws in that intermediate range, he's hitting about 50% completions since the injury. But when he goes beyond 20 yards, 3 big-time throws, which is great, 13 turnover-worthy plays when he puts the ball in the air more than 20 yards downfield. Those are the 2 things you need to know about the Sooners and the Crimson Tide.
Kendra, what's your least favorite thing about the University of Alabama?
Probably that most of their fans didn't actually go there. That's my answer. They're probably just Patriots, Yankees, Lakers fans that needed a college football team to support. They didn't actually go to the school. Every time I'm in Auburn gear and someone's like, oh, Roll Tide, I'm like, did you go there? And they're like, well, no, but my second cousin twice removed it. And I just like that they have a good football team. That's my answer.
Now, I think a lot of people probably struggle with perhaps getting in, and that maybe that is an issue. I don't know what the admission
Getting
rate
in?
is at Alabama.
Hello? No. No,
So
the requirements to Alabama are you an out-of-state student that has a ton of money to offer us, and can you read? That's about it.
This is some big talk from someone who attended the Cow College in Alabama. But you know what? Listen, this is your fire. You know you're coming at it with a lot of enthusiasm, and you want to talk some trash to Bama grads. I get it, but let's not get on our high horse here in terms of higher education in the Yellowhammer State.
Hey, I didn't graduate from Auburn, so I graduated from a New England school. I got the better education of the two, and I will Cow College on because cows and alligators are my favorite animals, so Cow College forever.
who has the better nightlife, Alabama or Auburn?
Um, Probably Alabama, I would say. I only went out there one time because one of my neighbor growing up, she actually went to Alabama and I went to Auburn. So we did like the crisscross thing of when we would go see each other. The nightlife there is a little bit better just because the downtown is bigger, but Auburn does have bigger bars. So I would like size wise, so you can fit more people and there's more opportunity for different vibes in the bars. But Alabama nightlife is fun because most people that go there are from Jersey and New York and they know how to party.
Let's each make a pick so that we can sit back, watch Sling TV, and enjoy this game the way that it is meant to be enjoyed. Mike, get us started. Who do you like? What do you like?
So this number is yo-yoed a little bit. It's settling in at Bama laying 1.5 at about even money. I'm comfortable with that. They're going to close as the first road favorite in the 12-team college football playoff era, and for good reason. If you look at their first game against Oklahoma, they nearly doubled up their yardage. They only lost because they were -3 in the turnover margin, and that's still a concern in terms of protecting the football, and certainly on special teams. You saw a punt get blocked against Georgia. They got to button that up. But if they don't give the game away and give free yardage and great field position to this Oklahoma offense, I think they're going to be able to pull it out in this spot. You look at Parker Fleming, Stats of War over on Twitter. He puts together the graphic every Sunday morning. Did my team really get beat that bad? In terms of Power 4 teams, Alabama was one of the most egregious losses of the entire season, losing to Oklahoma. I think they get it right here. I think the addition of Jam Miller opens up this offense. If they can get to 24 points, I think Oklahoma is going to struggle to stay with them. They're going to win this by, let's call it, 5 to 7 points. It's going to be a bit of a rock fight. It's not going to be necessarily that beautiful brand of offensive football that bring in the casuals, but I think Alabama gets it done. I have a lot of faith in Grubb and DeBoer. It's a reason why he got brought from the Pacific Northwest down to the Deep South. He's a great offensive mind. He'll fix things. Don't get tied into that recency bias of how poor they played against Georgia. This is a team that can bounce back. They have the weapons to do it.
And I was going to get caught up in that, and I was ready to mash the button on Oklahoma. You may have talked me off of that, but one thing I do like, and this will be my play, is a John Mateer anytime touchdown at +115. 7 rushing touchdowns on the season. Their offense goes as he goes. And remember, this was a Heisman favorite before that hand injury. He can still get it done with his legs. I like him to rush into the end zone. Kendra, wrap us up.
Talk about being objective, but I'm all over the tide here. I've watched so much Alabama football over the years, whether it was by choice or not. They've kicked ass for over 10 years now. I'm not going to fade them in the postseason. They feel like the better side here. If you watched a lot of SEC football like myself this year, Oklahoma got really lucky at times. Super lucky at times. And in positions I did not think that they would find themselves in as well. So I'm going to go with Mateer for an interception just because I do think when he gets frustrated, he can get a little lazy with the football. That hand injury did not help him out whatsoever. With the price, it's a little steep, but if you're going to parlay it, I think it adds to some action, and it's probably something I could see myself putting some pretty decent money behind.
Holiday season is coming up, and if you find yourself at a let's gather around the table and play a board game while the game is on kind of house, Sling TV is your solution to instant access for live TV, starting as low as $4.99. And this works for more than just the college football playoff. This also covers our world with the NFL for Monday Night Football. And remember, we have Saturday NFL games as well on ESPN and playoff games. There isn't a better time to acquaint yourself with the 1, 3, and 7-day passes from Sling TV. Offer applies to Orange 1-day pass. Restrictions apply. Mike, thank you so much. Crush it for BBOC, and we'll see you back sometime between very soon and perhaps Stuckey's next kid.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Time for our Plant the Flag games presented by DraftKings. The crown is yours. Matt, I don't know if you came ready for this or if you just want to argue with us about the picks that we have, but you are our guest today. Matt Moore, by the way, you can follow him on Buckets day after day, our daily NBA betting podcast where Matt Moore orchestrates a phenomenal pod nearly every single day of the week. We appreciate that. Matt, do you have a plant the flag game for us in honor of Stuckey, who is out with child?
Oh man, now that it's Stuckey, I need to bet on like the absolute ugliest dog in existence. So give
Stuckey
me a minute.
free.
Give me a minute and I'll find a
I
worthy
think
play for
Kendra might be
Stuckey.
taking the cake on ugliest dog this week. Although, would that be the ugliest dog? Might be the Las Vegas Raiders. I don't know anybody that wants to take the Raiders plus 14.5 would be the stinkiest, ugliest dog of the week, no doubt.
Can we talk about how the Raiders are more of a dog than the Phillip Rivers led Indianapolis Colts? It was 13. It closed at what, 13.5? The Raiders are that bad. Like, are we serious? That's insane to me. Could you imagine me sitting here 5 months ago and being like, yeah, the Raiders are actually going to be more of a dog to the Texans in week 16 than the Phillip Rivers led Indianapolis Colts?
Yeah. I
That's
think it also speaks
categorically
to
insane.
how good Houston has been, too. When
Right.
you have a defense that's this good, taking on a quarterback that can't stop turning the ball over, I think that's how you
If
get
I
there.
have to go to Houston for the playoffs, I will be the most miserable person on this show. Anyways, I want the Chargers at home, please.
Matt, where would you like to plant your flag this week?
Oh, I'm going Broncos. Broncos -3 is where I'll plant my flag. Look, this Jags team's not good. They've been lucky all season. Their fumble luck has been insane. Like
Man, Matt came to fight today.
they make completely inconsequential. They make the dumbest decisions possible. Like there's a bunch of frauds in the NFL. Like I'm a Chiefs fan and we're out, and so I could say it. All of you are frauds. Every single one of you are frauds. Every team in the NFL completely fraudulent. This season doesn't count. It needs an asterisk.
I was going to ask who pissed in your cornflakes, but I already know.
Yeah, yeah. Broncos -3. This team is. I don't know what it's going to take for the market to accurately rate Denver. Look, I'm a Chiefs fan. Why do I want to hype up Denver? But I will tell you that the market has consistently underrated them weeks and weeks and weeks, and I understand why. It's Bo Nix, but unfortunately, Bo Nix is playing great football. Now, I think they get to the playoffs and they get exposed, but this Jacksonville team is not going to be the team to do it. If we do a home field flip on this and we wind up with where this game is currently kind of projected to be at, like I can't get there. Like under no circumstances can I get to where this line should be what it is, given how Denver has played on both sides of the ball. Trevor Lawrence in altitude in December against this defense. Why on earth do you want this? Why on earth is this number not like I cannot get to a spot. The Broncos on I do 4.5 flip for home field. I think this should be 4.5, 5. I think this should actually probably be closer to 6 because I think the Broncos should be favored by a point on neutral. Jacksonville is not good. They have not been good all year. Trevor Lawrence is going to get destroyed by that defense. Nick Bonito is going to eat him up. I'll take the Broncos. This is market. The market is still behind on Denver.
Wow.
Keep hating. Keep hating.
This is a Jaguars podcast,
This
Matt.
is a
I need
Jags
you to show us
podcast.
some respect here.
Nah, keep hating. That's what we want. That's what we want.
I mean, you guys lead the number of fans that have gotten zombie rabies. That's cool. You got that going for you. You lead in tattoos that are likely drawn in some sort of illegal ink that gives you skin poisoning amongst your fans. So that's cool. Got that going.
I've got Jacksonville tattoos and I'm still balling.
Our dogs are named after this damn team.
How dare you?
By the way,
My apartment is Jacksonville Jaguars themed.
That's amazing.
in terms of the advanced stats, these two teams are a complete and utter mirror of each other in terms of their somewhat ineptitude on putting together what is a requisite Super Bowl level offense, but having the defense that it can absolutely carry you. So defensive EPA per drive, the Jags are 6th, the Broncos are 8th. So the Jags are better. Defensive points per drive, you have the Jags at 6, the Broncos at 3rd. So neck and neck there. But the Jags, Kendra, your squad, 32 points per game over the last 5. So I think some of these offensive numbers lately are a little bit skewed by how bad they were early in the season.
Totally. And the other thing for me here is that I think that the Broncos are due for a loss, right? Like they looked good against the Packers, only beat their Raiders 24-17, beat the Commanders by a point. The Chiefs game, walk-off field goal. Other Raiders game 10-7. The game before that, Broncos 18-15 to a Texans team that was just kind of on the up and up. Like they beat the Giants by a point. I don't believe that this Broncos team is consistent as their winning stretch says that they are. And the other thing here is that, like, sure, the Chiefs are relying on Gardner Minshew and are eliminated from the playoffs now, but Broncos look ahead to 2 divisional games between the Chiefs and the Chargers after that. The Jags have the Colts and the Titans, like could be an absolute look ahead spot for the Broncos to finally lose one. It's not that I think that the Jags are these world beaters who are scoring all of these points and Trevor Lawrence has finally arrived thing. It's more so just the Broncos' luck has to run out at some point.
And they are the number 1 luckiest team in Nick Giffin's luck rankings as well. Keep that in mind.
I look, I hear you. Sam Hoppin's composite power rankings make this on neutral 1.8, which sounds about right to me. Like Broncos minus 1.8, but then you got to throw in home field advantage for the Broncos in altitude. Again, altitude December. Do you want the warm weather team going into Denver in December trying to get this win?
Yeah, the fact that I'm definitely not betting the Broncos here. For me, it's Jags +3 or pass, but I have not bet it yet. And the fact that it's sitting at such a favorable key number and I'm not pulling the trigger means that I'm also still holding back a little bit on this Jags team. So
everybody shut up. It is 70 degrees in Denver right now, and it is going to be 60 on Sunday. Shut the fuck up with your weather bullshit. No, get out of here.
I live here. It does not feel like that. It will not feel like, oh man,
it's 65 degrees and you're wearing a beanie.
Wearing all that. It's cold here.
You brought this.
You lose a lot of heat in the head, Kendra.
I live in Boston and it's snowing. It's 13 degrees outside.
All right, I'm gonna give out my plant the flag. I'm going Browns +10. I'm just kidding.
What did you guys just show up?
Go ahead, Kendra. Go ahead.
No. You both planned this show to show up and be like, how can we bully Kendra collectively this week? Because it will make for good content. I know that's what you did. I know you two are on the same show. You schemed. You were like, let's crap on the Jags and let's steal her look ahead pick from Sunday. That'll be great.
We call that a dribble handoff on the other show that we do.
Yeah. Gotta get downhill.
Yeah. All right. Who you got, Kendra?
I was all over the all over the Browns on Sunday, plus the 10. I'm still on the Browns here. I logged on to fill in our notes and Kravitz had Browns +10, even though I went all in on the Browns on our show on Sunday. He tried to pry them from my cold, dead hands. But you know what? Since I got to the window on the Seahawks, you can have the Browns.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Well, then let me give you my cap. Let me give you my cap on what. Thank you for that, by the way, because I was going to force feed everybody the Sad Cats and the Carolina Panthers at +3. But yeah, let's go with 10. 10 is one of the key numbers that we look for. And if this were to drop to 9.5 by Wednesday or Thursday, I would be kicking myself that I didn't get that insurance 10. 10.5s might pop up, but rarely do we see NFL games stick on those key numbers for very long. And we know the Browns are a different animal at home. This season alone, 4-2 against the spread in Cleveland, 1-6 against the spread anywhere else. Buffalo also off of the game of their lives. They had to expend a lot of energy emotionally, physically. They're down 21 against their fiercest rival currently in the AFC East. It is a letdown spot for Buffalo against the defense that we can trust and have throughout the season when they are at home. So give me the Brownies and a bad quarterback in Shedeur Sanders at +10. Cosign, obviously. Yep. Good with that, Matt. Any pushback?
Josh Allen's 4-1 after a fourth quarter comeback. ATS in 2023. So
that. Yeah,
you know, he doesn't get caught. I was wondering, like, is that a bad spot for him? I'm actually surprised he doesn't have more of those. But
so that energy.
This is one that we'll definitely be talking to Evan about in just a second. But Josh Allen as a fat favorite, I don't think is how you want to bet him. Those are Plant the Flag games presented by DraftKings. Actually, Kendra, would you like to double down on the Seattle Seahawks? I need to make sure I'm writing this down because I'm not giving you proper credit on our Sunday recap show. So this is getting logged in my notes. Seattle +1. Is that your Plant the Flag game?
Sure. Let's go with it. It's already in the app for me, so yeah. I planted my flag.
All right, so we've got Kendra at +1, Matt Moore in place of Stuckey, Broncos -3, and I have stolen the Browns +10.
Stuckey
Those
would
are
never.
those are plant the
Stuckey would
flag
never.
games presented by DraftKings. The crown is yours. Time for the main event. No betting week can start without it. It's the primer, courtesy of Evan Abrams. Evan, welcome to the show. Do you have a dog named Jackson?
I do not have a dog named Jackson. I did have a cat named Parlay, but that is the situation I will leave right now. You guys have asked me a bunch of questions, so let me just roll off some
Yes,
answers
please.
to your wonderful questions. So we talked about fading open as a dog, closed as a favorite. It's like 47% since 2019, and about like 4 or 5 games under 500 this year. If you toss in division in that, it's about the same. Kind of like 5 games or so under 500. It's usually a pretty bad sign. And this is using mostly look ahead open to whatever close would be. So there's a few games that fit in that spot this week. But yeah, not the best sign going forward. I'll say one other thing you guys mentioned. McVay on short rest, 17-8 against the spread. So pretty dang good. And Stafford, 6-0 in his career against Seattle, covering the spread by over 5 points per game. So decent spot. Obviously, no Puka. I'm sorry, no Devontae. And the no Devontae thing, I think, is massive in terms of red zone targets, goal line work, like all that stuff leads the league in the NFL. So definitely going to have to change how they run there. The one other one that Matt just mentioned, pretty great. So Bills and Falcons both off 14+ point comebacks. Teams in that spot, 59-78 last decade, but Buffalo 5-0 straight up and against the spread in that spot all since 2019. So that's Josh. So that is the right call there. But again, tough spot overall. But that is true.
What about Josh Allen as a big favorite? I know I've seen that one on the primer in the past. Do you
Yeah,
have that?
not great. I'd have to pull that in a second, but I know historically hasn't been great as a big favorite, especially laying 10 on the road. So I'll have that in a little bit. But
Last one for me. Andy
yeah.
Reid with a backup quarterback. We didn't mention the Chiefs Titans game when the Chiefs are 3.5 point road favorites. It feels like this is a Titans spot, but how have Chiefs backups performed under Reid?
Actually, pretty good. Hold on. I need a quick
I
second
would
to
think.
go through all of my stuff here. Chiefs, Titans. Here we go. Since Andy Reid arrived in KC in 2013, he's gone to a backup quarterback 7 times. He's actually 4-3 straight up and against the spread in those games, so not terrible. And also, the thing that usually works with Gardner Minshew is he follows his role. In his career as a starter, he's actually 4-0 straight up and against the spread as a road favorite. 9-5 straight up as a favorite, 8-24 as an underdog. So usually follows the roll of the line.
If I'm not mistaken, the last time we saw a backup for the Chiefs was the 2023 playoff game against the Jaguars in Kansas City when Patrick Mahomes went out for a little bit in the fourth quarter and Blaine Gabbert came in and secured that win for them, if I'm not mistaken.
Believe
So-
that's correct. Yeah, but
We
yeah,
had some
and they look
Chad
good.
Hunt,
Yeah.
we had some Chad Henne games in there too in the past.
Yeah, it was anything is possible. That was the
Yeah,
that was
you
the
go.
You know,
the
part
route.
of it is that the Chiefs have had good backup quarterbacks over the years. That definitely helps in all of this.
The
And
Jags trash,
we
Chad
know that-
Henne and Blaine Gabbert.
We know Minshew can cover a spread here and there.
And Gardner Minshew. Oh my God.
Yep.
Anything else for the professor before we cut him loose?
Baker 5-0 straight up versus Carolina in his career, which is pretty decent for that spot. And here's the great one. Panthers going for their 8th win as an underdog. Chiefs going for their 8th loss as a favorite. Both very historical in their own rights. Casey's lost 6 straight against the spread. All sorts of fun stuff there. I will say this. The Denver angle. So Denver has obviously won 11 consecutive games. But hey, Jacksonville won 5 straight and covered 5 straight. We've only seen that situation like 3 times since 1990 and not since the 2007 AFC title game, Patriots Chargers. So a very unique spot. And the beware on Denver, since 1990, teams on an 11+ game win streak. 14, 36, and 2 against the spread. But usually I would say I'd have to look. I bet you that spread's much higher historically as well than just a 3-point spread.
Evan,
Dragon.
thank you so much. Go check out the primer. It's the only way to start the betting week properly. That'll do it for today's episode. Special thanks to our producers, David Payne and Gifford Gould. The favorites will return on Thursday right here on the Action Network YouTube page, where we talk Week 16 best bets in the NFL, and our two kings and a queen parlay gets nominated. We'll see you back here next time on the favorites presented by DraftKings. We are out. Thank you, Matt Moore. Goodbye. Go back to buckets.